So I'm not going to extend the introductions here very long, but I do want to introduce our moderator for this panel, and she'll tell you a little bit more about herself. But we have Miss Romy Drucker here with us today from the Walton Family Foundation. I'll let her share her title. And then we have three wonderful Arkansas students that have joined us, and I want to recognize their teachers that are in the audience. So if Miss Kimberly Ralph would... If Miss Kim, you got a big introduction. Miss Kimberly Rout from Conway High School. We have Miss Brenda Qualls from Bryant High School, who also is teaching my son AP CSA this year, my senior, and I get an email from her about every 2 weeks of William needs to get caught up. So, but we appreciate you, Brenda. And then we have Ashley Kincannon, who I think is representing Lake Hamilton High School, who has taught our other students. So thank you, teachers. With that, Romy, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thank you so much, Anthony, and good morning, everybody. My name is Romy Drucker, and I lead the K12 Education Program at the Walton Family Foundation. The foundation is deeply committed to creating opportunity and access points for people and communities across the country. And we do that work by supporting work in three areas: K12 education here in Arkansas and across the country. We support the environment and making our country and our planet healthier, and we support economic development and resilience here in the state of Arkansas with a focus on Northwest Arkansas and the Delta region. I want to thank Governor Hutchinson and echo the many thanks we've heard for his leadership. He has just been an incredible spokesperson and doer when it comes to putting energy and resources behind the importance of educational change, the importance of computer science, and I am absolutely thrilled about the work that he is doing with the National Governors Association, one of the foundation's partners, to work with other governors nationally to build awareness for the importance of this work and what is possible in this country. And I am very excited about the 51% stat that Hadi shared earlier, because it does show what is possible when we put our energy together and our resources. And I do want to thank everybody in this room. This is an amazing room of entrepreneurs and leaders who are, on the front lines every day. Anthony thanked the amazing teachers, Ms. Qualls, Ms. Rout, Ms. Kincannon. I want to thank you all again for your leadership, and also the families that are here. Caden, Lamaya, and Sarah's families are here. Let's give them a round of applause, because I am just absolutely struck by the sense of teamwork that I felt this morning in meeting all of you with your teachers and your families. And there was just such a spirit of collaboration and cheerleading. And it really speaks to our values about what is possible when we throw our support behind students, when we believe in their full potential, and we put energy and resources towards ensuring that they are thriving. And that means on a path to success that they define for themselves. And I am so excited. I think I have the best panel here I'm moderating today, just saying. Love all the other speakers, but you'll probably agree with me that hearing today from Sarah, Lamaya, and Caden is just such an honor. And these young leaders are going to tell us their stories and a little bit more about what they've learned, their passion for this work, and what they're hoping to translate it into the future. So I'm just going to briefly introduce each of them. Caden is a senior at Conway High School in Conway, Arkansas. Next year, he will attend the University of Central Arkansas, where he plans to major in computer science. So round of applause for that. Lamaya is a senior at Bryant High School in Bryant, Arkansas. And next year, she is attending Washington University in St. Louis and plans to major in computer science. And Sarah is a sophomore at Lake Hamilton High School in Percy. She has been taking computer science courses since 6th grade, and I have no doubt that that will continue into the future. Round of applause for Sarah. So I want to start with a question for each of you about how you became exposed to computer science. And Sarah, I want to start with you. Each of you kind of got into this a little bit differently in your school careers. So Sarah, tell us about what your start was like in engaging with this kind of work.
Okay, so I started taking computer science courses in the 6th grade with my teacher, Ms. Ruffin, and our coursework, it wasn't like I just started off learning Java and completely programming. We started off using code.org, and it felt like a game. Like we use block code, so we would put these pieces together and we would tell how a character wants to move or how we want it to do a certain thing. So I would play like a dance party game and then make BB-8 move on the screen. And I didn't know at the time, but that was the foundation of my computer science knowledge. And so my teacher, Ms. Ruffin, she made it very fun, and we would play with robots and code robots, but it wasn't a super stressful course to take.
That's great. Lamaya, tell me a little bit about your experience, because you have a different entry point.
Yeah. So basically, I got into computer science my sophomore year of high school. Previously, I had never had any type of exposure to computer science, aside from hearing about coding a little bit in middle school. Through there, we started off with some basic Java, although I was in Programming 3 my first year, so it was a little bit harder than the regular Programming 1. But we started off with some Java. My first program, I believe, was Hello World or something like that. But then I wasn't able to do any computer science last year because of COVID. It wasn't available to me because I was virtual. And then this year I got into the computer science, AP computer science program. So, yeah.
That's so exciting. And Caden, how about you? How did you get started?
So I think I have a familiar experience like Sarah. I was introduced in 7th grade, I think, using code.org. Using, the little building blocks to make a little program that was, entertaining. And from there, I kind of just found an interest in it, trying to piece things together to try and, just build something, be creative. And I think that's just pushed me throughout high school and got me here in AP computer science as well.
Each of you talked a little bit about how this has created a set of foundational skills and taught you how to build and think. Can you each share with me sort of one skill that you think you've learned over the years as a result of the work that you've done? So it could be something tangible, like you learned how to code a specific kind of project, or it could be something bigger, like a critical thinking skill. Lamaya, how about we start with you?
So for me, I would say, let's see. I learned how to build my first actual program that actually worked. So over the summer, I was introduced to some summer programs for computer science, and through there, I have learned how to do the AI robots. We would basically program the robots to move around and flash different colors and stuff. And so I would say that that's my biggest project that I've done.
That's very cool. Sarah, how about you?
My biggest programming skill that I think I've learned is problem solving, because you will run a program and it will not work and not work and not work and you can do it over and over again, and sometimes it's a semicolon or a bracket that is the problem to your whole thing. So you have to be patient and thorough when working with that, and that takes a lot of skills. But another skill that I've learned through computer science is collaboration. When you think of programming, that's definitely something you can do on your own, but something I've enjoyed is collaborating with my classmates and, us getting together and saying hey, if both of our programs aren't working, how can we fix this? What are we doing wrong? Instead of just, always asking your teacher for help. Other students are sometimes almost just as educated on a certain topic as your teacher would be.
Caden, how about you? Does that resonate, the idea of problem solving, What would you say are the skills that you've developed?
So yeah, skills, problem solving is a big one. Like she said, perseverance, because the code is gonna, try you. But yeah, so I guess, problem solving, I like the aspect of like the bigger picture. You have to kind of break it down into smaller parts and then put them all together, and then you finally get what you wanted, you know what I mean? Like that type of skill, if that makes sense.
It does make sense. I love watching you all talk about the idea of perseverance and problem solving, and just kind of like making this face like, yeah, I'm thinking about this time when I was trying to build something and it wasn't quite going how I thought it would be going. We talked a little bit earlier, Caden, about one of your projects. You called it the Monster Lab, yes, and it sounds like something I want everybody in the room to hear a little bit about. Can you share what the idea for that was? Yes,
ma'am. So my teacher, Miss Rout, had us students in class. She had a select amount of food items in the front of the classroom, like Twinkies, gummy worms, M&Ms. And so we had to build a little monster out of these like candies, like with toothpicks. Like, I put the M&Ms as the eyes, the gummy worms as the arms, and the legs. But we had that, and once we were done, we had to take a picture of it. Then we had to go into Java, and we had to actually like create the monster we had just made. So my code, you would tell the code what you like, the qualities of your monster, and it would repeat it back to you. So my monster had 2 eyes, 6 arms, 2 legs, and it would just, tell you that's what it was.
So cool. Sarah, you told me about a project called, I believe, the Food Bus.
Yes, ma'am.
So tell us a little bit about what that looked like.
So my teacher, Ms. Kincannon, approached me with the idea of entering this project called Tech for Good. And it's presented at this Girls of Promise conference, which is about 8th grade girls and inspiring women in STEM to pursue a career in technology. So she had me jot down 8 different ideas, which took me forever. And one of the ones that really stuck out to me was called Food Bus. And I really wanted to make my project eco-friendly. So it was a bus with like a hydroponic garden inside. So it's self-sustaining and uses clean energy. So you can transport clean, healthy food to locations of poverty. And so the tech aspect that I used to present was I made a website that kind of showed the idea, what my idea was, and what the concept was in general.
So incredible. Lamaya, I wanted to ask you about your internship experience at the National Security Agency recently, where you got to put some of your skills into practice in a real world setting. So tell us about what that internship was about and some of the projects you worked on.
So basically over the summer I was in a 2-week program with the National Security Agency where I focused on cybersecurity. And every day we would kind of go into this program for STEM, and we would basically go onto, they call it like a battlefield almost, where you would kind of do hypotheticals. So like if we were to get like a cyber attack, we would have to figure out how they got through, like what area did we have where it was weak, and then we have to try to strengthen it, we have to try to protect it in any way. So we did that over the course of 2 weeks every single day. And we would get like little prizes if you would like be the first person to figure out like what was wrong with our program, what was wrong with our software. So it was really fun.
What was the hardest thing you worked on?
The hardest thing, so one, it was this like almost 2-page full length of like code, where it was really confusing code. And basically we had to go through each line and we had to see any type of mistake, any type of, like I said, any type of hole in the program that an attacker would somehow be able to get through. And then we would basically have to build our own software to basically protect the whatever hole or whatever issue that we have in it. And so that took about a good 3 days of just building software over and over again and just trying to figure out what mistake we were like making throughout the whole program.
And did you figure it out?
Yeah.
One of the things that we believe at the Walton Family Foundation is that any kind of educational change in communities needs to reflect what students feel and what students think and what's going to engage you all. So I want to hear a little bit about what you talk to your friends about when you talk about computer science, or if someone's asking you, hey, I know you're interested in this. Could you tell me a little bit about why? What would you want fellow students to know, whether they're your friends or folks that are listening on YouTube who might be just interested in learning more about what these experiences have given you? Caden, let's start with you.
So computer science, a pretty big incentive I think of right off the bat is the AP exam, which if you get a 5 on that, you earn $1,000 just right then and there. That's pretty nice. That and the competitions and stuff we have, it really lets you meet new people you might have in class, people you might work with in the future, you know what I mean? So it really just opens up this new environment where you can just, spread your wings,
I love that point about the social aspect of kind of networking and making friends. What about you, Lamaya?
So basically, I always tell them like the general stereotype of what a programmer looks like is not true at all. It is not always just sitting at your computer all day just typing like in the dark and stuff. That's not true. So a lot of people don't expect me to be in computer science. So I usually tell them like you don't have to look a certain way just to work with computers, and on top of that, you can make a lot of money. Yeah, so that's what I usually tell them.
Sarah, how about you?
One thing that I would want everybody to know about computer science is that computer science is a very broad term. Like, it's not just programming. You're not just sitting at your computer, like Lamaya said, just typing all day. You can be introduced to robots, cybersecurity, and all these different things that are involved in tech. And I think there's definitely a stereotype around computer science that it's just sitting at your computer all day.
It's very interactive.
Yeah.
Tell me about the work that you do with your teachers. How does your teacher support you? I mean, there's a big part of this work that is self-directed, right? Like, you are kind of in the zone, problem solving and critically thinking. Your teachers are in the room, so I know you have really nice things to say about them. But tell me a little bit about that interaction. What does that feel like, and how do teachers support the process for you? Lamaya?
So for me, Miss Qualls, she always she won't watch over our shoulder, but the moment that we raise our hand, she's sprinting towards us to help us. And so she's always willing to help. And so it's really good, especially when we get stuck on a program or something. She'll help us go through it, and she'll explain it perfectly, what this does and why this isn't working. And so she's just really helpful all the time.
So coaching and supporting and helping you maybe think differently about something. Sarah, how about you?
Our course is definitely very independent. Our teachers are there to help us, but I really like it because in most classrooms, you have a teacher that's just teaching the whole time, and especially in math class, my teacher just goes through it, and I take as many notes as I can, but I'm not absorbing every aspect of that information, and it's not as interactive as it could be. So my teacher, right now my teacher is Mr. Lahan. I had Ms. Kincannon last year. We do our coursework through ASMSA, and we work through this module, and I'll do as much programming as I can and some programming as I can, and sometimes I get stuck. I just can't figure out what the heck's wrong, or I don't understand something. So I ask my teacher, and they just give me all this information, and they're like, this is how you do this. And Mr. Lahan always pulls out a piece of paper and writes out the whole thing for us, and then I understand it, and then I can move on with a better understanding of that.
Caden, what has your experience been like? And I think this is so helpful to hear from each of you, kind of how there are similarities and differences.
Yeah, so Ms. Route, in her class, it's really just a lot of fun because, if you run into a problem, usually the whole class is really interactive, so we all kind of work together. If someone needs help, you'll get help. But Ms. Rupp is always there answering questions, and I have a lot of questions all the time. She really is helpful. That's really just it.
Can we just get another round of applause for our educators? So my next question is about advice that you have for the leaders in this room. There are some folks who are running the education systems of their states. There are some community-based organizations in the room who are trying to figure out programs and policies to make sure that more students have access to computer science. There are companies in the room who are thinking about their role in coming to the table to support education work so that there's a pipeline of future employees and future-ready students who are ready to go. So tell us what you think. Tell us all what you think. What advice do you have for leaders in the room when it comes to the work that they're doing to create more access for students to high-quality computer science opportunities? Caden, you want to share a thought?
Yes, ma'am. So I think with employees, a big passion of mine is working at home, which allows me to, be comfortable where I'm at, get my work done how I need to get it done. And mainly working in an office isn't really just, all that. And I think if a lot of companies do push the fact that I can work at home, it would be a nice thing.
That's great to hear. How about you, Lamaya? What advice do you have?
I would say to promote computer science and the entire field way more. I usually don't hear a lot about it unless you go on to actual job search sites. So Indeed, you'll see IT careers and everything, but outside of those sites, I usually do not hear about computer science jobs or anything like that. So I would most definitely say promote it a lot more with even if you gotta get billboards and stuff, just anything that would help grab the attention of the people.
How about you, Sarah?
I have to agree with Lamaya that promoting computer science is definitely something that needs to happen, but especially promotion for girls. There's only about 5 or 6 girls in my class, and they're out of 30 kids. And so it's definitely more challenging when you're having to deal with that kind of ratio. But I feel like the Women's Foundation is definitely doing a lot to help improve girls getting into STEM and girls going into the workforce. And I think that's going to make a big impact on computer science.
And you and Lamaya being on this stage today are also making a big impact. So thank you both for being here and being role models for anybody who's watching. And thank you all for that call to action. I want to ask you about something you're excited about for next year. Some of you are going to college. Some of you are continuing on in your high school journey. Sarah, maybe we could start with you as you're heading into the 11th grade. What is something you're excited about next year or a skill you want to further develop?
So next year I have a couple of options on what I want to take. That CS 1 and 2 are required, but once you get to year 3, you can take AP or independent study or do another type of course. And so next year I am going to take the AP because I want to take the AP test and have that towards college. And so I'm very excited to further my skills. And I think we do learn a little bit of Python next year. So I'm just excited to learn a new programming type.
Super cool. What about you, Lamaya?
I'm excited about going to WashU next year. I'm going on a full ride. So, I'm really excited about expanding my knowledge, I guess, on computer science, and I'm really excited to get into the working field. I'm really ready to go ahead and start working.
Well, we're excited for you. And how about you, Caden?
Going to UCA, I'm excited to learn different languages and new ways I can use code to make new things and, just be more creative with it, see the things that I can achieve with code, And that's really just what I'm excited for.
Those are amazing aspirations from all of you. We have a couple of minutes left, and if it's okay with you all, I wanted to see if we could take 1 or 2 questions from the audience. Does anyone in the audience want to ask a question? Anthony is back there with the microphone. I see a hand. Can you share your name so we know where you're from?
engage your younger self. Did you hear that at all?
Yeah.
Okay, you did. Okay, so you said 6th or 7th and 8th grade, right, is when each of you got involved. When you think about those students in those classrooms now, what could we do as teachers and leaders in our district to better engage you? Would you like to have had an opportunity to work on a project in a science class along with a computer science, or maybe a math class? Because I remember you said, oh, math, they're just teaching, talking, and I don't get to absorb it. So would that cross-curricular be important to you and maybe gave you like an aha moment to allow you to think about computer science as an option? I'd just be interested.
Caden, do you want to start?
Yeah. So early on in those grades, computer science was more, like I said, like building blocks, kind of way more simple. And the thing that really grasped my attention to it was like the entertainment, because you did get to build your own like app, you did get to build your own game. And when you did that, it was fun. You got to compare with people. You got to just share it with others.
Does anyone want to add anything?
I will. I think incorporating different subjects into computer science is 100% necessary. I feel like I would absorb information so much better, because I remember in 6th grade we had to create an app using code.org, and we had to make it about another subject. So like I chose math, and I made like an app that was about like a math quiz and math tutoring. It was like, what do you need help with? And then you would click it, and then it would take you through how to do that math problem. And so I feel like knowing those together, because computer science has helped me in so many other subjects. It's helped me with like problem solving and language skills, and it's just made school so much better for me.
I would say it is necessary, like she said, it is necessary to kind of intermingle various subjects together with computer science. So for me, I would say art and computer science, which a lot of people don't think go together because it's like creative and then like literal. But whenever I got into computer science, I was taking art at the same time, and a lot of times I would write out like programs that I wanted to do. If it was like a character or something, if there was some way that I could try to code a character, I would draw it before I would even start thinking of the code, and then I would kind of like break down into what I need to do with this and what do I need to do with this. So most definitely.
I think we have time for one more question. That was a great question about career-connected learning in the early grades. Can you introduce yourself?
Sure. I'm Carol Fletcher from University of Texas at Austin and the ESEP Alliance. And I loved your comment about we need to find a way to kind of market computer science opportunities better to young people. So we all think that we do that. Obviously, we're not. So I'd love your insights on what can we do to actually reach students your age to actually get that message across.
Who has a thought? Who wants to start?
I can. So the most basic thing, which was mentioned earlier with the economy, money. Everyone wants money. So I would definitely tell them, like, whenever I first got into it, one of the aspects I was looking at was how much money could I potentially make in the future. I want to be able to support myself without worrying about finances. So whenever I do talk to other people, like I said, I talk about money. They want to know how much money that they can make. So even with like younger kids, whenever they ask me about it, like, how'd you get into this? I'll start off with, well, I found out that you can make a lot of money. And then, so that'll like kind of like pique their interest a little bit. And then you can like further like, I guess go into it, depth a little bit more on it. But that's like one of the most basic things.
Sarah?
I would have to say that getting older kids to do computer science has to start at a younger age. Because I feel like by the time you get into high school, you already know what you're good at, and you see computer science, you're like, oh, I don't know how to do that. I'm not going to even try to do that. I think implementing it at an earlier age, even in like 5th grade, would make some kids think, oh, this is fun, I can do this, and then they will want to pursue that in high school and in college and make a career out of it.
Caden, any last words, any words of wisdom to close us out?
Yes, ma'am. So what they were talking about, the money aspects, I think it's kind of crazy because when I was told that, you know, there's not a lot of people doing computer science like in the world today, it's kind of weird to think about because like I feel like there should be way more people trying to do this. Like we should try to tell people like, hey, people will, you know, you'll get a job pretty easy. You know?
Well, I know everybody in this room agrees with that. So let's give our student panel a round of applause. Caden, Sarah, Lamaya, thank you so much for sharing your perspectives.
We'll get it all going here and say, there we go. We'll go with this one. And let's give Miss Romy a hand of applause for moderating such a great panel. I want to tell just a short story of how this panel came together. When we first reached out to Ms. Drucker to come present to us, we thought we invited her to come just address the group. And her wonderful staff, and I don't know if it was her idea or one of her staff members, called me and they said, we've got an idea, but we don't want to interrupt your session. And they said, what if we had Romy interview some students? And now this was this Monday? Yeah, so this was Monday. But those of y'all who know me know that I'm like, hey, we will figure it out. So I think this was not that Romy wouldn't have done a great job, Ms. Drucker, I'm sorry, wouldn't have done a great job addressing us by herself. I think this was so much more engaging, so much more thoughtful, and I just can't say how thankful I am for that suggestion and to the students for coming up here and Ms. Drucker for moderating. Thank y'all.
Thank you, everyone.